Yo, what's going down in West Africa? We're talking serious drama. Imagine a club where 3 members just bounce, saying, "See ya." That's Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger ditching the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. This ain't some random group, it's supposed to be the glue holding West Africa together, like, economically and security-wise. So yeah, this exit is a big deal. ECOWAS has been around since the 70s, trying to boost trade and cooperation between 15 West African countries. Think of it as the cool kids club, but for nations trying to build a better future. Except lately, things haven't been so peachy. Military coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger? Not exactly a recipe for stability. These coups, fueled by public frustration with governments and, let's be real, some opportunistic military dudes, created massive tension with ECOWAS. The bloc responded with sanctions, trying to pressure these countries back into line. But guess what? It backfired. Instead of falling in line, these nations went rogue, choosing to piece out of ECOWAS altogether. This split is a major wake-up call. It exposes deep cracks in West African unity and raises serious questions about ECOWAS's clout. Can the bloc survive this? Can it adapt and stay relevant? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to unpack this whole situation. Okay, so why'd Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger bounce from the ECOWAS group chat? In short, they felt like ECOWAS was acting more like a dictator than a supportive friend. See, after the coups, ECOWAS slapped these countries with sanctions, hoping to force them back to democratic rule. But these sanctions, while well-intentioned, ended up hurting ordinary citizens more than the military leaders. Imagine your internet provider cutting you off because your neighbor's downloading too many movies. Frustrating, right? That's kind of what it felt like for people in these countries. They saw ECOWAS's actions as punishment for something they didn't do. And let's be real, when people are struggling to put food on the table, they're less concerned about who's running the show, and more concerned with, eating. This frustration created a breeding ground for anti-ECOWAS sentiment. People started questioning the bloc's relevance, wondering if they were better off going solo. And the military juntas, always eager to exploit a good crisis, seized on this discontent. They painted ECOWAS as a puppet of Western powers, more interested in controlling resources than helping people. Now, whether or not these accusations are true is a whole other debate. But the point is, the narrative stuck, and it gave these juntas the perfect excuse to justify their exit from ECOWAS. They could claim they were freeing their nations from external influence, all while consolidating their own power. Talk about a win-win, at least for them. This whole exit thing is a major blow to ECOWAS's street cred. It's like that one time your friend group tried to organize a party, but nobody showed up. Awkward, right? Well, imagine that on an international scale. ECOWAS is supposed to be this big, powerful organization, but now 3 of its own members are straight up ignoring them. Not a good look. This defiance sets a dangerous precedent. It sends a message to other countries that they can just disregard ECOWAS's rules without facing any real consequences. And if that happens, what's the point of even having a regional bloc? It's like a gym membership you never use. You're just throwing money away. This crisis also exposes the limitations of ECOWAS's power. Sure, they can impose sanctions and issue strongly worded statements, but when it comes to actually enforcing their decisions, not so much. They don't have a standing army, and member states are often reluctant to contribute troops for interventions. So basically, they're all bark and no bite. This lack of teeth seriously undermines ECOWAS's credibility. Why would any country take them seriously if they know ECOWAS can't back up their words with action? It's like trying to break up a fight with a feather duster. Good intentions, but ultimately useless. ECOWAS needs to figure out a way to regain its authority and show that it's still a force to be reckoned with. Otherwise, this whole regional integration thing is going to fall apart faster than a cheap suit. Section 4. Trade and terror cooperation under threat. Alright, so we've established that ECOWAS is going through some stuff, but this isn't just about hurt feelings and bruised egos. This split has real-world consequences, especially when it comes to trade and security. Think of it like this. If your neighbors suddenly decide they don't want to share the Wi-Fi password anymore, things are going to get complicated. On the trade front, this exit is a major buzzkill. ECOWAS has been working hard to create a free trade zone, making it easier for goods and services to flow between member states. But now, with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger out of the picture, that whole plan is thrown into disarray. It's like trying to bake a cake without flour. You can try, but it's not going to be pretty. This disruption hurts everyone involved. Businesses lose access to markets, consumers face higher prices, and economic growth takes a hit. And remember, we're talking about a region already grappling with poverty and instability. The last thing they need is another obstacle to progress. Then there's the issue of security. The Sahel region, where these three countries are located, is already a hotbed for terrorism and armed groups. ECOWAS has been trying to coordinate efforts to combat this threat, but with this split, that cooperation is now in jeopardy. It's like trying to fight a fire with one hand tied behind your back. Not exactly a winning strategy. This lack of coordination could have dire consequences. Terrorist groups thrive in chaos and instability, and with ECOWAS weakened and divided, these groups now have more room to operate, recruit, and launch attacks. It's a recipe for disaster, not just for the region, but for the world. Because remember, terrorism doesn't respect borders. What happens in West Africa can easily spill over into other parts of the world. Section 5. New friends, new risks, the geopolitics of departure. Hold up, this ECOWAS drama just got a whole lot juicier. See, when Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger walked away from ECOWAS, they didn't exactly become hermits. They started looking for new friends. And let's just say some of these new pals are raising eyebrows. We're talking about Russia, for example. Now, Russia has been making moves in Africa lately, trying to expand its influence and secure resources. And guess who's been rolling out the red carpet? You guessed it, our three amigos who just left ECOWAS. They've been cozying up to Russia, signing deals, and even welcoming in the Wagner Group, a Russian private military company with a less than stellar reputation. This new friendship is a major cause for concern. Russia doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to promoting democracy and human rights. In fact, they've been known to support authoritarian regimes and fuel conflicts for their own benefit. So, having them gain a foothold in West Africa is like giving a bull a china shop. Things could get messy real quick, but it's not just Russia that's sniffing around. Other global players like China and Turkey are also looking to capitalize on this situation. They see an opportunity to increase their own influence in the region, often at the expense of Western powers. It's like a geopolitical game of chess, and the stakes are getting higher with every move. This shifting landscape creates a lot of uncertainty. Will these new partnerships bring stability and prosperity to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger? Or will they further destabilize the region and exacerbate existing conflicts? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this ECOWAS breakup has set off a chain reaction with far-reaching consequences that we're only beginning to understand. Section 6, charting a new course, ECOWAS at a crossroads. Okay, so ECOWAS is in a tough spot. 3 members down, credibility shaken, and the whole region holding its breath. What's the play now? Do they just throw in the towel and call it a day? Or do they adapt and reinvent themselves for a new era? The easy answer is to double down on the old ways. More sanctions, more pressure, more trying to isolate these breakaway nations. But let's be real, that's like trying to fix a broken vase with duct tape. It might hold for a bit, but it's not a long-term solution. Instead, ECOWAS needs to have a serious come-to-Jesus meeting. They need to acknowledge their shortcomings, address the concerns of their member states, and find a way to become more relevant and effective. Think of it like a software update. Gotta get rid of the bugs and add some new features to stay competitive. First and foremost, ECOWAS needs to ditch the Big Brother Act and embrace a more inclusive approach. They need to listen to the concerns of all member states, big or small, and involve them in the decision-making process. No more backroom deals or imposing solutions from above. It's time for open dialogue and genuine collaboration. Second, ECOWAS needs to beef up its security apparatus. They need a more robust and rapid response mechanism to deal with crises as they arise. This might involve creating a standing army or establishing a system for member states to quickly contribute troops and resources. Basically, they need to show that they're not just a paper tiger, but a force that can actually protect its members. Finally, ECOWAS needs to get creative in addressing the root causes of instability. This means investing in development, promoting good governance, and creating opportunities for young people. Because let's face it, when people have hope and a stake in the system, they're less likely to support coups and rebellions. Section 7, a call for unity towards a stronger ECOWAS. Look, this whole ECOWAS situation is messy. There's no easy fix, no magic wand to make everything better, but one thing's crystal clear: burying our heads in the sand and pretending everything's fine is not an option. The stakes are too high, the potential consequences too dire. We're talking about the future of West Africa, a region already facing a multitude of challenges. From poverty and inequality to climate change and terrorism, the people of West Africa deserve better. They deserve a future where their voices are heard, their rights are respected, and their dreams can thrive. This is where ECOWAS comes in. Despite its flaws and setbacks, ECOWAS remains the best hope for regional integration and cooperation. It's the platform where West African nations can come together, hash out their differences, and work towards common goals. But for ECOWAS to succeed, it needs our support. This is a call to action for everyone, from political leaders to everyday citizens. We need to demand better from our institutions, hold them accountable, and push for meaningful reforms. We need to support initiatives that promote dialogue, reconciliation, and sustainable development. The road ahead won't be easy. There will be bumps, detours, and maybe even a few wrong turns. But we cannot give up hope. We cannot let cynicism and division win. The future of West Africa is at stake, and it's up to us to shape it. Let's work together to build a stronger, more united, and more prosperous West Africa for generations to come.